everyone. Lots going on as usual, and even more going on today. The MPs will be back in the House of Commons. Parliament resumes today. And here's CP24 reporting the same. Lack of deal sets stage for House of Commons to reopen today amid COVID-19, CP24. And this was 5:12 a.m., April 20th. I didn't get up at 5 a.m. today. That's unusual for me. I'm usually up around 5, but not this morning. I was tired, I guess. Anyway, here is Justin Trudeau yesterday talking about trying to avoid having Parliament reopen and blaming the Conservatives squarely. This is the Conservatives' fault. And, well, we're going to look at this and we're going to look at another one. So for people who don't like Trudeau, fast forward a little bit. Who don't like hearing Trudeau's voice, fast forward a little bit.
Important that parliamentarians and opposition politicians get to ask questions of the government, which is why we've proposed that the Parliament sit every week in reduced fashion, and that is a proposal that was accepted by most parties. The Conservatives still need to work on it a little bit in terms of their own reflection.
You've just said that you respect Parliament, that you believe in accountability. So why is your party still haggling at the last minute over terms of this sitting? Why is this so complicated?
Most opposition parties found this to be reasonable. There is one party, and because the House is scheduled to resume tomorrow morning, there is required to be unanimous consent by the parties to not come back tomorrow morning. And the Conservatives are not wanting to be reasonable in this, I think.
So the Conservatives are saying no, they needed unanimous consent. Unanimous means everybody, and the official opposition says no. I think it's interesting how he's positioning this, and I'm always talking about positioning, but positioning matters, right? Like if you load your brain, it's like milk, milk, milk. What's your favorite vegetable? I can't remember the thing, but you know what I'm saying. You load somebody with an idea and then they say carrot. I've got all of the parameters of that, but it's not right. So somebody correct me in the comments. I'm not even going to go look for it because you know what I'm talking about. I hope. And if not, well, I'm really sorry. Look in the comments for the explanation. But he's saying all other opposition parties are agreeable to this except for those pesky Conservatives, like it's the Greens, right? If it was the Greens holding this up, I don't know that you'd have an argument because unanimous is unanimous. They agreed to unanimous. If you didn't want to include the Greens or if you didn't want to include a specific party, then you try and pass that. You say everybody but the Greens has to agree or everybody but the Conservatives, which is kind of what the Liberals try and pull, must agree, right? Like if you want to do it that way, then do it that way. But you did it this way with unanimous agreement agreed upon a couple of weeks ago, and now you don't have unanimous agreement, so you're going to blame the Conservative Party. And he set it up as well. He said, we're looking for 3 sittings a week. We want people to talk, or we want questions from the opposition, et cetera, et cetera. And well, here's Candace Bergen on the 16th of April. That's 4 days ago. She says, Conservatives are not asking for full Parliament to sit on April 20th. We want a reduced number of MPs for a reduced number of days each week to ask the government questions and offer solutions to help Canadians deal with COVID-19 crisis. Let's get back to work for Canadians. That's on the 16th. That seems reasonable to me, and that seems like pretty much what Justin Trudeau was saying right there. You know, we want a few reduced days sitting, answer questions from opposition parties, blah, blah, blah. That's basically the talking points he was saying during his little speech there. Here's a second tweet from Ms. Bergen. Trudeau won't take any questions from opposition, so maybe today during his daily presser, someone from CBC Politics or CTV News or Global News could ask him why he thinks coming to the House of Commons for 90 minutes, 3 days a week with a minimum number of MPs is asking too much. Thanks. And yeah, this has kind of been the push, right? Like this has been what's being asked of parliamentarians. This is what Justin Trudeau is saying. Here's Candace Bergen. So this one was 10:10 a.m. on April 18th. That was Saturday. This one is 10:47 a.m. April 18th, again, Saturday. So according to, and this is Candace Bergen again, according to the current order, Parliament is back in its full form Monday, unless all parties come to an agreement not to sit. In the absence of a compromise, the government is forcing all MPs to assume April 20th is a full sitting. Who's being reckless here? The Liberal government is. Okay, and here is Justin Trudeau, and we're going to listen. So we're going to listen to this back end part because this is him talking about what I was just talking about. And then I'm going to come back and back him up to just before this, and there's only 10 or 15 seconds. And then I'm going to talk about another thread that I'm interested in, but they're different. And well, this is the order I'm doing this in. So here we go. Here's Justin Trudeau. Again, Justin Trudeau warning, if you don't like this, fast forward a little bit. It's about a minute-ish. Okay, here we go.
We have proposed, and it's been accepted by, largely accepted by the other opposition parties, that we should have accountability measures. We should have Parliament that functions, but we have to do it responsibly. And that's why coming back every week for questions and for work on passing new legislation is something that I think is reasonable and is acceptable to most parties. I believe deeply in our democracy, in our democratic institutions, and our principles, and it's important to be accountable. I'm perfectly happy to be taking questions every day from media, and I'm looking forward to taking questions from opposition parties. But it has to be done in a responsible way, and right now the Conservatives are not taking a responsible approach.
My microphone doesn't like to come off mute. Sorry about that. So the Conservatives aren't taking a responsible approach, says Justin Trudeau. And yet it seems that Ms. Bergen's suggestion is the same one that he wants. A few days a week, right? Let's get back to work for Canada, reduce sitting, answer questions, et cetera, et cetera. So it seems like they all want the same thing. And for some reason, the Liberal government is trying to vilify the Conservative government while careening into bringing back Parliament today. And I guess that's their prerogative. They want to blame the Conservatives and bring back Parliament. Sure, I guess. I don't think a virtual sitting is a good idea because no rules around that have been hashed out in the actual Parliament. I don't think you can change the game that much without ceding other territory too. And whoever writes the rules, whoever's in charge of the government writes the rules, and that's not a great position for, well, I think for Canadians to be in. I think that proper reforms shouldn't happen in this type of situation, this type of emergency. Moving forward, okay, I'm gonna queue up the clip here. It's basically Trudeau saying it's not safe and blah blah blah. But hold on. Okay, here it is.
That's why it would be irresponsible for the House of Commons to resume tomorrow as scheduled on April 20th with 338 MPs, their staff, support staff in the House of Commons, security, people coming in from across the country at this particular point. We have proposed.
And that's the part we just talked about. Okay, so moving back, here is Gary Keller. Gary Keller is Vice President, Strategy Corp, unrepentant Edmonton Oilers Eskimos fan, views are his own. However, he says, thread, as someone who has some experience with Parliament as a Chief of Staff for a Government House Leader and Government Whip, plus as a Parliamentary Advisor to a PM, time for a little Parliament 101 given many misconceptions out there. It seems that Justin Trudeau is suffering from one of these misconceptions. Okay. Key principle, the government, not the opposition parties, control the calendar and ultimately set the agenda for Parliament. 3. Some further points. Unless otherwise agreed to in writing by the Liberals, CPC, BQ, and NDP, which appears to be part of the negotiations, the House is required to convene Monday, unanimously agreed to last Saturday, including by the Greens, which now seem to be changing its tune. But 4. If they don't come to an agreement, all 338 MPs have to come to Ottawa on Monday? No. Standing orders allow MPs to be in their ridings doing parliamentary or official business, and very rarely are all 338 MPs in Ottawa at the same time. 5. The first special session in March operated under agreement by all parties to have enough MPs for quorum, which is 20 based on the proportion of the seats in the House. This is all about question period? No. During debate on bills, MPs are allowed time to question each other on their speeches. The House could move more into, I don't know what that word's supposed to be, set of the whole, more like a House set in form and substance and provides for questioning of ministers by MPs. 7. But yes, there should also be a question period. In times of crisis and national urgency, we have been able to manage question period. As well, social distancing in the House has already been implemented. 8. The opposition parties could defeat the government this week. No, prior to the House adjourning in March, it gave unanimous consent to pass 2 spending bills before the House. No more government financial bills before Parliament until June, unless more introduced. Yeah, usually any financial bill is a confidence vote. So there's no confidence. If the government controls the calendar and there's no confidence vote in the calendar already, then the government can't fall this week because there's no confidence vote scheduled. And if the Conservatives or another party introduces it, the government controls the calendar, right? Right. Okay, back to this. 9. But I thought the Conservatives had a non-confidence motion order on paper. on the order paper, excuse me. But the Liberals set the dates of which such motions could be moved and voted on. They control the calendar. Oh, right, there you go. 10. Also, I think it's a pretty good bet any party looking to move a non-confidence motion would not find the votes or the public support for an election during a pandemic. There we go. There's the other aspect to this, right? I haven't mentioned that, but yeah, nobody wants to go to the polls now during a pandemic. Like that would be a bad idea. Although there's a lot of things to discuss with the mishandling of this pandemic. Patty Haydu, Theresa Tam, the bad advice consistently being given, the conflict of interest Ms. Tam is in, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. Anyway, back to this. 11, Parliament can just meet by Zoom. Not at this time, no provisions to do so. Yes, the House committees can meet by video conference, but the House itself gave the procedure and House Affairs Committee. Oh, it's a committee. Okay, committee. Haha, thank you. That makes more sense up here. Until May 15th to study the issue for the wider House. 12, issues like parliamentary privilege, which dates back to 1689. If MPX says something on Skype, are they protected? And no provisions for electronic voting have real impacts on decisions the MP will have. Let the PROC committee do the work and report back. This is something that I was concerned about. Again, if the rules don't exist, then what are the rules? And the governing party will get to write the rules. And it's a mistake. It's a mistake to go down this path. Get the physical distancing right. Have them, maybe even have them in the same building or something to that effect. And but no, that's not gonna fly for me. It's not gonna work. That's a no for me, dog. Okay. Number 12, 13. House leaders and whips negotiate literally all the time in majority and minority governments about schedule, calendar, votes, MP attendance, etc. I believe they'll figure this out. That can be done by text. There's no, I don't know if anything governs that kind of stuff. That's back channel, chatting with somebody else, etc. Somebody's secretary, somebody's this, somebody's that. They use phones, like desk phones. There's no reason why they couldn't do it via text or messenger, provided it's approved by the Canadian government, right? Back to this. 14 and final. All parties except perhaps the Greens agree that there is a happy medium between 338 MPs and 0 MPs sitting. What we are down to is form and substance of those sittings. Finn. And one final note, he says lots of talking points and lines from all parties on who is doing what in these negotiations, but the relationship between House leaders, whips, and their staff always remind me of this cartoon: beat each other up in public, see you tomorrow, Sam, in private. This was always one of my favorite when I was younger. Although I remember it being the rooster. I thought it was the rooster. That's not the rooster. Okay, anyway. Maybe that's the sheepdog, right? Okay. I remember it being the rooster. Anyway, it doesn't matter. Parliament is indeed sitting today. Here it is, 11 a.m. And, well, isn't that interesting? Maybe they can debate sex workers that say they've been left out of Canada's COVID-19 responses. I came across this on Twitter, and somebody said it's not that they're sex workers, it's that they're tax cheats. And I was like, ooh, savage. But, I mean, yeah, maybe that's true. That could potentially be true. It would line up, right? Anyway, here's CBC reporting Alberta healthcare workers say new masks don't seal, cause rashes and headaches. Union calls for production of protective equipment to be nationalized to protect workers from COVID-19. How much do you want to bet that the new masks are from China? All right, yeah, of course they're from China. So one Calgary nurse says they used to get them from Edmonton-based Primed, and now they get them from Vanch, a company based in Shenzhen, China. So, isn't that terrible? That's awful, isn't it? And Toronto, eventual reopening of city likely to be phased in over a period of months. John Tory says the eventual reopening of Toronto will be phased in over a period of months and may not even get underway for some time yet, warns Mayor John Tory. So there's a lot of prep to buckle up for a long, lengthy stay in your house, I suppose. I don't know if there's no evidence that says this works. There's no evidence. I mean, Sweden hasn't closed down and they're about the same amount of deaths as Canada. I'm not saying, I don't know the right answer. And that's the bottom line. But man, the right answer can't be shut down the economy and cower in your house for the rest of your life. That can't be it from our leaders. That can't be the only option. Cower in your house or, potentially everybody dies. We're not seeing that. We're not seeing that around the world. We're not seeing that. There are places that have had success with reopening their economy with masks. There are places that have had success with all sorts of stuff. It's just going about, and it's just figuring out how to do the particulars, the details. And I know that's hard, but it's even harder when the government doesn't sit, right? So who knows? CP24 says months. When it was supposed to be originally 2 weeks to stop the spread, and then mid-April, and then July. months. Pretty crazy. The last little bit is a thread I'm not going to go through. This is talking about Ontario limited movement travel restrictions, and it's an interesting thread. It doesn't really fit in with today's theme or anything like that. We're talking COVID and kind of federal stuff, but it's worth a read. It's on CanadaReport.co, and well, I mean, it's interesting. He says he's talking about going up to a second owned property, what the restrictions are. Are you allowed to go up to your second owned property? He acknowledges that there's problems with the supply chain, and if thousands of Torontonians go up to their cottages, then grocery stores in the northern areas might be overwhelmed. And there's definitely issues, right? I don't have the right answers, but I keep coming back to the idea that these draconian measures can't be the right answer. If these supply chain problems persist, we have to find a way through. Otherwise, we will be stuck in our houses with no options to leave, because we've blocked ourselves in here, right? We have to find a way. And if we don't push to find a way, then this is going to be the end result, right? The end result is going to be Quebec having closed borders with Ontario, despite the fact that people are arriving into Ontario from China and from the United States and right, all over Canada. That's happening. People are arriving, foreign nationals are arriving, or Canadian citizens are arriving, right? Who knows? I don't know. But if we do nothing, if we sit and wait patiently for another 3 months, what changes in 3 months? What's changed for Wuhan or Taiwan or Singapore or South Korea, North Korea, right? North Korea has closed its borders too. And so we need to find a pathway out of it. That's the job of our leaders. And it seems like right now the job of our leaders is to manage expectations. Stay in your houses, guys. Nothing we can do. We can't even open up Parliament while Parliament is being actively worked on, like construction workers are working there. But we can't go in there. Is Justin Trudeau's government non-essential? Right? Okay. That's enough out of me. Check out CanadaReport.co. Check out CanadaPoly.com. And you can find me on podcasts. Wherever you find your podcast, just search Canada Poly. You'll find me. And just in case you get sick and tired of YouTube not telling you when I upload a new show, because I know it's not doing that. So, and it's hiding my views, and it's hiding my subscribers, and all of those fun things. So if you want to find me in other places, I'm on other places. Check out your podcast app. Okay, thanks for watching, everybody. Have a great day.